Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled neighbor repeatedly stole my elderly mom's water and electricity on her private property. He gets a big dose of karma. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. So the first one starts like this. There has been a total douche living next to my elderly mother for way too long. She used to have really nice neighbors who moved away, and a couple of years back this guy bought the house and has been showing off just how horrible of a person he is. While I don't live with my mom, I visit her often because she is not in the best of health but still wants to live in her own home. She has healthcare workers that help take care of her and she can do the basics by herself. It does not take a genius to figure out that she is vulnerable though, and trust me, neighbor is far from a genius. On the few occasions that I have met him while visiting my mother, I would get a horrible taste in my mouth from the things he would say. He talked about if I was going to sell the property after she died because he would be interested. What kind of a way is that to introduce yourself to somebody you literally just met? The topic that he loved droning on about the most was his business. From the things he said, it was not exactly clear what he did for work, just that he owned a business. He also loved to talk about how the government was horrible and so stupid because he could get away with not paying anything for his business and make extra money, aka not paying taxes. This guy is clearly annoying, but I'm sure you wanna know what he did that made me start writing this story. His desire to save money must have gone so far that he decided he could take advantage of my sick mother by running lines to steal her water and electricity. He hid the cords in bushes too, and the only reason I found them is because I handle her bills and I saw water and electricity were skyrocketing for no reason. When I went to check the meters, I could see the wires with a bad attempt at being buried underground, and my anger started to boil. I took a hedge cutter to the wires, but that did not seem like enough revenge for me. You might be saying right about now that I should have gone to the town or even tried to sue him for the money. Well, I did try that at first and then found out that it was hard to prove that he was stealing it because he could claim my mother gave him permission. She has some slight memory issues, but I know she was not okay with something like this. When I confronted him about the whole thing, he basically laughed and told me that I was jealous that he just knew how to work the system and I didn't. He went on about how if my mother is not able to keep tabs on her own house and what is going on around it, then she should not be living there. Taking advantage and insulting my mother is a sure fiery recipe for making me want to get some serious revenge on this guy. I was gonna start with the latest thing he had been bragging about, which was his new garage. When he was not insulting the government, he was bragging about how he was building a fancy garage with all the money he had made. I don't care what people do for the most part on their own property on a normal day. For this, I just felt like it was my duty to alert the town that he was building without a permit or any kind of permission. He was pissed when he had people come over and put yellow tape all around the half-built garage, stopping his project. It had to sit half-built for months before the order came in that he had to tear it down. The best part with that was, by the time he was forced to tear it down, a bunch of raccoons had made their home in there and it was just that much harder, and then he got fined for housing raccoons and causing mess for the surrounding neighbors. Because they lived in a pretty strict HOA. I guess all of that money he spent not paying taxes was down the drain with the garage and the giant fines. Now, you might call me petty for this, but I did not think that that was enough revenge for him messing with my mother. It certainly did not teach him any manners, as he was still insulting her and kept talking about taking her land when she passed away. He wanted to go after the one thing that mattered the most to me, so I could do the same to him. I know I mentioned before that I didn't know exactly what he did with his business. I had his name though, and that was enough to work off of. I found the name of the business online and decided that it was important to report to the IRS that they were not paying any taxes and had some shady business practices going on. I'll explain it the best I can, but I might be a little off on some parts since I'm not too knowledgeable about the whole thing in particular. He was paying his workers cash under the table so that he did not need to declare having them as employees and they did not need to declare making the money from the job. He had one set of records that he kept for himself with all the employees and what they made. He had a different set of records saying he had much less employees that were working not that many hours. I assume this somehow related to him, how he got out of paying all of his taxes when it came to his business. The IRS eats up things like this though and did a full audit on him to see exactly what was going on with his money. The fact that he had cash withdrawals that were matching cash deposits made by confirmed employees. I don't know how they actually proved that he was paying people under the table for cheap work and not declaring it, but he got caught. His business was forced to close down and he was having an in-depth audit from the IRS who were going to go through every small detail of his taxes and finances. He was going to end up owing them a lot of money. He did not end up moving away, but it was clear that some major changes happened with this guy. He traded in his expensive car for something cheaper as well as his clothing. He stopped bragging so much because now he had nothing to really brag about. I think he got a job where he would actually have to work hard, so he seemed too tired to fight with me and start up with my mother. Most importantly, he never tried to steal water or electricity from her again. He learned that messing with an angry daughter means that your life could end up destroyed. And yeah, ripe stars, there we have it, once again an entitled douchebag neighbor that tries to take advantage of an elderly woman. And while I did enjoy what happened to him in the end, maybe OP could have gone even further. Let me know what you think in the comments. Either way, and now let's continue with the next story. This one is titled Third Shift Funnies. This one was posted by user Catastrophe on r/ripe stories, which is our own subreddit. So here is another story from this same rural area. This one just takes place many years after my last story. The employer in this instance was a franchised gas station, popular for announcing that they are open during both the AM and PM hours. The cast is me, drunk guy, and off-the-clock coworker. Now, it could have been the 6th June of 2006, as I remember working that night and me and my coworker were having fun with a joke flyer about how if you had an emo haircut, expect to be hassled on 666. But working third shift results in many ripe story-worthy events, so it is hard to timeline them. So anyway, another day working third shift, cleaning all the machines that get missed during the day. I make sure my practical joker co-workers did do something like empty a hot chocolate mix bag and refill it with mocha or French vanilla before I refill the cappuccino machine. Or cappuccino, but I'm not exactly sure what that means. Either way, check and see if the food was time-stamped and fresh. You know, the basic duties of a gas station attendant. Listen to some CDs, probably Death Clock, maybe Static X or something that would be a problem during the day. So my coworker shows up for a pack of smokes and to grab their schedule. We BS a little when they see a customer coming in, so they scoot to the back and I turn the music down. In walks this shorter man in his mid-30s, I am in my early to mid-20s at the time. He is obviously drunk and it's about 2 AM, so bars are closed and cannot buy booze. He stumbles around the store, making a giant mess at the nacho station. I say, "Hey, registers are down, it's gonna be like 5 minutes." They had us swap registers at 2 AM for payroll or some other reason. As my mentor just got canned for theft, they won a wrongful termination suit. I was not gonna get caught with a drawer that did not cash out right, so I was counting it out. The drunk guy made his way up to the counter and was pestering me on the price of nachos. Me? Sir, I'm not sure what the price of nachos are at the moment, and I would be happy to ring you up after I finish counting the change. DG, come on man, how much are the nachos? Can I just leave $2.50 here for you? Now, I knew nachos were $3.15, I just get in trouble for punching in numbers and not actually ringing things up. Me? I don't know if that will cover it, man, but I'm gonna count up the change and will be done shortly and will be able to ring up your transaction. DG? How come I just cannot leave my money and continue walking back to my car from the bar? Me? I'm almost done counting the change and then I can help you. Realizing he had been taxied home because he was too drunk to drive and telling me he wants to go drunk drive, my patience with him was at its limits. DG? You must think I'm stupid. Me? Well, I have had to repeat myself several times, so... DG? You know what I think you are? Without skipping a beat or letting him finish his sentence, I made myself as intimidating as possible, leaned over the counter and was still taller than the dude, so I looked down and said, "Me, an a-hole, and you are correct, sir. Now you can let me finish counting the change so I can ring you up and you can go drunk drive home or you can leave if you want." It is at this point that I hear my coworker's high-pitched giggle from the back. He left his nachos there and stumbled out the door. I called dispatch and they were on speed dial and let them know that drunk guy was on his way to the cop bar to pick up his vehicle and drunk drive home. At this point, my coworker walks out the back. "CW, dude, I thought he was gonna piss his pants. You scared me and I was not even the focus of the wrath. Seriously thought you were gonna Hulk smash him." Honestly, working at a gas station, I saw plenty of short story-worthy stuff. Had a man come in, eat all of the questionable food out of the hot lamps. I love hamburgers, but I wouldn't eat from those things unless I made the food. Had a bunch of exotic dancers come in. I almost got robbed and had a young black kid come in and do the "Abba Zabba, you're my only friend" scene from Half Baked. There were plenty of beer runs and I had a dude come in with this girl, looked a little young. Then a police officer showed up almost immediately and started asking questions and said the girl was a minor and if he was her boyfriend. He noped right on up out of there saying he didn't know her and that he was just offering her a ride home after a party they attended. An older gentleman on a mobility scooter that would try and get away with only paying for one Miller High Life instead of the second one he kept at his feet. If called out about it, he would kick it off his scooter, broken one many times. The homeless that started a fistfight over a dime and knocked over the medicine aisle. The job was okay, it was the new owners that made it unbearable. And well, dude, I gotta say, at least you did not have a boring job. Then again, I'm not sure if I would need the excitement of getting robbed in a store over something like a desk job or whatever. But either way, thank you for posting this story. The next one is titled, "Entitled Karen Tries to Steal My Property." About a year ago, my mother was going through difficult financial issues, so she decided to rent out one of the rooms of the house. She eventually rents the room out to a lady who I will call Karen with her 2 kids. For the first few days everything is fine until I noticed that items from around the house were going missing. First it was just some books or coasters, but it grew to us missing entire dish sets. My mom thought that the roommate was stealing from us and set up a camera in the living room which could watch the main part of the house. On camera, we caught her stealing a pair of wine glasses that belonged to my great-grandma along with a new set of pants. She was also sneaking food from our fridge into her room and leaving her dirty dishes for us to clean. My mom was furious but did not want to lose the rent that she gave, so my mom let it go. Well, 1 week later, and it is rent day, only she does not have the rent, she spent it all at the casino. My mom, being the nice person that she is, forgives the Karen and will forgive this month's rent. The same thing happened again next month, only this time we had found out she was selling her welfare cards and spending the money she earned from it at the casino and on cigarettes. My mom, ready to explode at this point, gives her a 2-week notice to move out. Karen did not like that and she constantly berated me and my mom about how we are such mean and rude people for doing this to her, and where will she go with 2 kids? We did not care because at this point she had stolen from us, squatted in our home and broke the door in a fit of anger at her kids. So eventually the 2 weeks go up and she is still here. So we give her another notice for 3 days and saying if she does not leave we will fine her $500 rent with an additional $200 in damages to the home. Karen, noticing this, calls the police and tells them that we have broken into her house and are threatening her. The police officer whose kid I was friends with completely shuts her down, knowing that me and my family have lived here for as long as he can remember. The officer tells her that if we have told her to leave and if she doesn't want, we can press charges and have her removed from the property in handcuffs. It is at this point that she starts to pipe down and swear she will leave by the 3rd day. But the very next day she is back to harassing us. I and my brothers finally snap and throw her stuff out the window by her car with the notice of eviction. She yelled at us and almost hit my younger brother, but was stopped by my father, who had just pulled in after being at work across seas for the past few months. She argues with him, telling him that we've been abusing her and her kids, and he, being the smart person that he is, listens to what we have to say and the camera footage we took of her stealing from us. After much arguing, she eventually left by flipping us off in the car as she drove away in a fake sob. We later found out that she had made a post about us on Facebook about how we had wrongfully removed her without any warning and that we had stolen from her. Needless to say, when she finally left, we were all relieved but angry that we had to pay for the damages ourselves as she had refused to. Another parking story. I used to live with my grandparents in a residential neighborhood. My grandparents would park in the driveway and I would park in front of their property on the street. There was enough space in front of each property to fit 3 to 4 cars, so parking in the street was never an issue. That is until the neighbor across the street had all their children move back in with them. Since this is street parking, I would like to say that I am well aware that no one owns those spaces and people can park anywhere they want. Well, the new kids that moved in opposite our house added about 4 to 5 cars to the street, and they often took all 3 spaces in front of our property. This was no big deal as I could simply park further down the street and I would just have to walk a little farther. As time went on, they started spacing their cars out on either side. Why? I'm not sure. I could only assume they did that so it would be easier to enter and leave the spaces. Since I didn't get home until late, all the kids would be home and I would have to park even further down the street. Now, what really rustled my jimmies was that they would park on our side of the street first and then fill in their side. Yes, sometimes I got home before they did and would park in one of their spots, but that was usually not the case. Again, this whole thing was just a minor annoyance, but the neighbor kids had no courtesy for me and would park in any way that was most convenient for them. Here is where the petty revenge comes into play. I was always courteous when it came to my neighbors. When I mowed the lawn each week, I purposely aimed the exhaust grass clippings towards the lawn and not towards the street, so any cars parked there wouldn't get dirty. As you can assume, that is where my spark of inspiration came from. I skipped mowing the lawn the following 2 weeks, all while the neighbors continued taking all the spaces in front of my house. The grass came in beautifully. Wonderful, thick turf spotted with clover patches grew quickly with all the rain we received. The growth had reached nearly 8 to 10 inches in height and was starting to drag down the look of the property. Judgment Day was near. It was a bright, warm Saturday morning and as expected, all the neighbors' kids lined my side of the street while my own car sat a safe distance away. The little push mower came to life and was struggling to cut down the small forest that was my lawn. In fact, the grass was so overgrown, I had to walk the mower extra slowly to ensure a proper cut. A glorious stream of wet green pulp coated the sides, rims and tires of their vehicles. Over the next few days, I was able to park in front of my own house a few times. When I brought the mower out the following weekend, one of the neighbor kids came out and moved his car to their side of the street. And well, ripe stars, that is how you can get a normally very expensive car coating for free. So in case you're also interested in getting such a coating, maybe try to be an entitled neighbor next time. And the next one is titled Karma, a tale of parking spot revenge. So I live in a neighborhood and we have a public parking cul-de-sac right near my home. I parked my daily driver there earlier today. I back in and leave space on my driver's side. I got home an hour ago and see some a-hole pickup truck parked front in over the line, purposely blocking in my driver's side door. I have no idea whose truck it is. None of my neighbors have any reason to do this to me or my car, so I'm confused and sort of ticked off. I squeeze into my poor victim of a vehicle and move it into another spot away from this maniac. I don't want my baby car to get dented or damaged by this crappy truck driver. Then instead of having some random neighbor having to fit into this tight spot caused by this a-hole truck driver, I have an idea. You see, I live with my family here and we have multiple vehicles, and we have one very old Volkswagen in very poor condition. The transmission is delayed because it is a crappy automatic, the exhaust pipes are dented, it needs new spark plugs, etc. But this car is still legally ours and it's paid off. No one in my family drives it since we all have newer, better and safer vehicles. The paint is eroded away on it and it is covered in a layer of dirt and neglect. The gas tank is almost empty and the thing always needs oil. So I take this forgotten vehicle that not me or any family member cares about and rush over to the cul-de-sac. Luckily, the spot is still open. I quickly park this rust bucket perfectly straight into the spot, ending up completely blocking in the pickup driver's side door. Feeling like I just started an act of war, I felt bad and told my family members. They went outside to take a look and I expected them to tell me to move it because he would key the Volkswagen or slash the tires or something. But they did not really care since again, no one needs to drive the car, it is essentially in storage and we park it legally where it can be parked normally unless someone tries to block in one of our other cars. So, truck driver, enjoy getting in the passenger side the next time you leave. And yeah, Ripe Stars, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want more exclusive Ripe content and exclusive amazing emojis and badges around your name on YouTube, then please don't forget to click the join button on my channel, and for just roughly, I think it's $2 per month, you will get access to these exclusive privileges. Thank you so much in advance and I hope to see you again tomorrow.